Thank you. Thank you, our dear panelists. My name is Claire. I'm a company secretary with Inca Uganda. My question is for Alfred, and it's around remote working. So, if we remember in management classes, I think there's this old theory on management of theory X and theory Y. Theory Y is an employee who is self motivated, they take responsibility, and then the theory X unfortunately needs direction. They don't like to work. So I wanted to know from your experience and when you shared that most of your work life you've actually not had job descriptions and many other things that you talked about. I just wanted to hear from you what practical steps or tools that you have taken to realize potential from this employee who needs direction, who doesn't take responsibility, not so self-motivated, to still be able to gain output from them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Theory X and theory Y, maybe even theory Z. First, I'd like to say, while I mentioned that we don't have job descriptions, it didn't mean that we just get people into the room and say, start, figure out, you find out what to do. Who knows, maybe that's a way as well to go for, to consider. But as leadership, what we do is to envision, is to say, this is what the organization is trying to achieve. This is the purpose we're trying to achieve. Now, you knowing yourself, knowing your competencies, knowing your abilities, knowing your interests and all, how do you think you would be able to fit in this space? How do you think you'd be able to bring value into the particular space? So in many ways, yes, you end up with a job description developed by the person themselves. In fact, when we do replacement of people, very rarely do we even have like-for-like replacements. I'll give you an example. We have someone who is really very good at, it's a consultancy firm, is very good at doing strategy and things like that, but she was very good at fine art in school and said, you know, I'm going to miss my art. And I said, why? Why do you want to miss it? We do digital stuff here, we do online things and all. Why don't you want to be able to do our graphics? She said yes. She's happily doing her strategy consulting as well as using her skill sets to do her graphics as well. So we try to build the structure around the person as opposed to creating a structure and getting someone to fit within that structure. What that helps us is we use more skills and talents that the person has. We have people that many times are able to use 20, 30, 40% of their skill sets at their workplace just because there is no space for them to be able to apply themselves. If it is possible in that workspace for you to develop that for them, then you may do that. But we envision. My role as a leader is to envision. I envision over and over again around what your role is, what the purpose of your role is to the rest of the organization and to whoever we're trying to impact out there. So that people they get to a point where they own what they're doing and they're very clear about what they're doing. So you'll find that then on Monday morning, while, sorry if this happens in your organization, while in many organizations on Monday morning, a supervisor comes to staff and says, these are the things I expect you to do this week. Now for us on Monday morning, the staff come and say, this is what I'm going to do this week. And I need your support on Thursday with this. I need your support on Friday with this. Or my tools of work won't enable me to do this. Please provide that. So my role then comes in to make sure that, and the rest of management to make sure that we remove the barriers to productivity. Sometimes it's just more important to just remove barriers. As a leader, many times we want to have more, let's add this, let's add this. Sometimes it's just about remove some of those stringent, unnecessary policies so that you're able to allow people to work. One of the worst statements I don't love to hear is getting to a place and asking them maybe as a customer and ask for something, and you get a response that it is policy here. That means that person hasn't understood the policy well enough to be able to know when you need to be able to tweak that policy so that you can be able to serve. Ultimately, after all these JDs and policies and all are concerned, as a leader, I think the question should be, after you've done, of course, the legal compliances, is to ask, what is the human thing to do? What is the human thing to do? So if as leaders, we are thinking about the human thing to do for this particular person, then we will make sense to them, we will appeal to them, they will know that we care about them and their own lives. And in many ways, personally, I have fought for these people, and now they fight for me. If you are fighting for them, they are going to fight for you. So the good thing about X and Y is an X, you can just delete something small and it becomes a Y. Of course, visually. But yes, you can turn a theory X person into a theory Y person. Because no one is born and comes, when they write to apply for this job, they humbly apply. And they come ready. And then what they find in the place gets them into a space where they begin thinking, why was I humbly applying to even work in this space? You know? So you mind about them, you mind about the environment they're in, you look at some of the barriers to their delivery. Some of them are knowledge barriers, some of them, because they're not exposed enough, you expose them, allow them to make mistakes, for example. That making a mistake is not going to cause you to be reprimanded, but it's an opportunity for you to learn. And that theory X person, slowly, it breaks off and becomes a Y. It's been my experience. We've had people that have worked for us for decades, really, in this day and age, where you're thinking people do 3 years, 2 years, 1.5 at most, and you know, and they go. But people stay because and the culture is the same across the board. That you work to build this person, to honor them as an individual, first as a human being, before you think of them as the role that they play. So we take responsibility. For me, the people that I lead, I take responsibility to make sure that I leave them better than I found them. It is my responsibility. It is unlikely, very unlikely, that you will invest yourself in the life of a person that you're leading that way. And they will just say, by the way, for me, I'm Theory X. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you so much.